X-Men 97 just wrapped up its season finale, so I thought this would be a great time to talk about the last few episodes of the series, as well as the series in general, what I thought about it to you. My thoughts, my feelings, you know how I feel. I freaking love this thing. Oh my God, I love this thing. This was amazing. This was one of the coolest things to watch in Marvel in general for quite some time, man. This felt so good week after week, or sometimes I bunch a couple of episodes together. I'm gonna talk a little non-spoilery at first, so that way if you just want to get an idea of how I feel about the show, if I haven't made that clear already, you get that first, and then I'll get into spoilery stuff. But I just want to say, man, this show, it started off strong, it continued to be even stronger, and it stuck the landing. And that's a big thing to say about Marvel television shows or streaming shows in general. Sometimes some of these shows, particularly on streaming, have a little wonky time when it comes to those endings. And I felt like even though this obviously set up a cliffhanger for the next season, I felt like it stuck the landing for the story it was telling this season. And I felt like it was able to fire on all cylinders on everything it was trying to do. The action was great. The dialogue was great. The drama was great. The storylines were great. They peppered in enough references to the original series while still keeping it very open for anyone. If this was the first time you ever watched an X-Men animated series, you could still feel like you belong. There might be one or two things you may not know about or be like, well, they must be referencing something from the old series I don't remember. But overall, this was an easy story to follow for the most part, obviously knowing who these characters are, who these mutants are, and the whole mutant human war and things like that. For the most part, I felt like it was an open space for new and old fans to enjoy this series. And I think that's what's so good about this show. That's the thing that I think is so important to point out, because there's so many shows now that are trying to come back and reboot, especially now rebooting where you're continuing the storyline from the past into this new generation. And I think the issue that sometimes you have is that you either go so nostalgic that you're only catering to the fan base from the previous iteration and you're not bringing in new people, or you try to do so many changes, so many differences to the show to appeal to the new generation that you end up having the old fan base being like, wait, what's going on here? This isn't what I remember. And you got to have a little bit of both. I think you can't be too nostalgic all the time with 100%. And I don't think you should try to completely restart the wheel if you're going to continue with your reboot. If your reboot is continuing the same storyline, if you want to do a complete reboot, knock yourself out. But if you're trying to connect, you want to make sure there's a mix of both nostalgia and new. And I feel like that's what this show did really well, because what it understood was it wanted to have the same vibe and the same feel of what we remember about the X-Men animated series back in the 90s. But it also understood that the fan base of that 90s series are older. So therefore, let's keep it in that style, but let's make its tone, its theme, its characters, its depth, all of that stronger, because that appeals to what that type of audience back then would appreciate now. Keep that vibe, even in this case, keep it in that timeline, but what did those people want to see today? What can connect to them today, while at the same time still being open for anyone else to watch it if they're brand new? It's a very tough tightrope to walk, and some shows do it better than others. Some shows are able to do it even though they might be a little bit more nostalgic. Some shows are able to do it even though they might have changed a lot. But I feel like this show was able to find a really good balance of feeling like the old series in theme and feeling, while also modernizing itself while staying in the 90s. It's wild. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. It's amazing. Good job. In fact, I now trust you to go, I have the faith to say, make an entire animated MCU. Like at first I was like, let X-Men be its own thing. But now seeing this, especially with all the cameos that you've had pop up in these last few episodes, I'm like, you know what? If you want to make a Marvel 90s animated cinematic universe, I am down. I am totally fine with it, because I think that's one of the other things that was nice about this particular story or this particular series, is that it didn't have the chains of the MCU binding it down. All it had to do was be in continuation of its original series, allowed to have the freedom to do some things that maybe the MCU can't do. And I think that's because of both the MCU constraints, because it's just been going on for so long, as well as the fact that it's animated. And that allows it to do a lot of things that live action sometimes can't do. It just has a very nice vibe to be able to do a lot with it. And so I'm like, if you can do this with X-Men, Spider-Man had an animated series, which, getting into spoiler stuff, you know, you definitely hinted at Spider-Man in this series, you know. Avengers, I'm just saying, like, it would be very interesting to see this universe. This is the what if I need. I need to see the what if of this universe continue, because I think that this series would be able to keep it all grounded. When you literally have human Sentinel hybrids flying around, body parts flying everywhere and stuff, and you're still able to give me standard grounded emotions and feelings and stories about hope, redemption, love, loss, the pros and cons of tolerance versus war. It's like when you're able to do all of that stuff, even though you're also dealing with mutants, aliens, human robot hybrids, and all this other crazy stuff, like, that's amazing. Because when you get all that stuff coming in, when you get timelines and alternate universes and all that stuff coming in, sometimes you get so much into the semantics of that sometimes the feelings and emotions which you can have across any story can get lost. And I feel like that's what was so good about this show, is that it kept all those semantics in place, but it always came back to, but what's the heart of a story? What's the core of even having this series to begin with? That never got lost, no matter how wild some of the things got in this show. And it did get wild. It's about to go wild. So let's talk about some of that wild stuff right now. This is going to get more into spoilery talk. So we learned that the big bad of all of this is Bastion, and we get a little bit of his backstory, especially when the X-Men go to his mom's house, his old childhood home. We basically find out that he is the first human Sentinel hybrid. So I guess some future Sentinel technology came back to the past, got in his daddy impregnated mommy, Bastion was born. He has these gifts, powers, he can talk to technology. They say he literally has connections from everyone to Master Mold, to Nimrod, all of the different Sentinel evolutions from the original series that we have seen, and even in this series that we've seen. So he's able to see all of that, and he realizes that this is the future, that it's no longer about mutants or it's no longer about humans. It's about his species, the human Sentinel hybrid, and that becoming the future. And so that's why he creates this whole Operation Zero Tolerance, where he basically wants to eradicate both humans and mutants and have his being be the new future. And that's what Cable keeps coming back and trying to stop, but doesn't have much luck doing it. What I particularly liked is when the X-Men were talking to Cable about this, and they were like, oh man, so it must be a big dystopian future where you are with him in charge now. And Cable's like, nah, see, the sad part is they actually are living in a utopia. All the problems we having, they don't have a problem. Now, they don't have a problem for them. If you're a human, you're pretty much extinct. If you're a mutant, you're pretty much extinct. And if you are still living, you're basically a slave. But for the hybrids, they are living good. So that's why Bastion is like, you ain't stopping my plans. And man, when the X-Men were all like, all right, man, we got to stop him from creating these human Sentinel hybrids. And Bastion's like, stop me. It's already happened. He just basically like hits a couple buttons and everybody's like, kill the mutants, like all over the place. It's like, man, all these random people that we didn't even know were human Sentinel hybrids. This show had a secret invasion that was actually better than the television series Secret Invasion. And the thing that was crazy was they were like, how could you force this upon these people? And Bastion was like, I didn't force anything. They volunteered. They wanted to be a part of this, because I basically had to tell them, hey, yo, mutants keep reproducing at a rapid rate. Eventually there's gonna be more of them than humans. Y'all gonna be extinct. Y'all gonna be out of line. So why not join the next evolution, be the one at the forefront? That's the special thing about a human Sentinel hybrid that Bastion learned. Human Sentinel hybrids, they fuck. So that was basically Bastion's plan. Get a bunch of them out there, have them knock some boots, and boom, we got a whole new generation of hybrids. Operation OZT was more like Operation DTF. You down with OZT? Yeah, you know me. Who down with OZT? Every last homie. Beast, reporter, lady friend he was trying to hook up with, but then got mad at, but then still kind of want to hook up with. She got turned into one. I was like, dang. I love when Wolverine was like, we got to talk to Beast about his lady choices. And Bastion wasn't even alone in these plans. He had some backup, including Dr. freaking Doom. Dr. Doom was one of the people behind this whole operation. And Marvel, let me just say, you ain't slick with putting Dr. Doom in there. Like, you did it on purpose. Okay, this whole show, I see what you're doing here, Marvel Studios. I know this is Marvel Animation, but you definitely trying to be like, hey, remember the X-Men? Hey, remember Dr. Doom? I'm just letting you know about them just in case they show up in any other project in the future. I see what you're doing. You're reintroducing us. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Doom. I love it. But even Doom was like, I still got my eye on you, Bastion. Like, I'm a part of this plan, but I got my eye on you. And then Baron Zemo was also there as well. I was like, God dang. Even though Dr. Cooper, hanging with Dr. Cooper was a part of this, but she didn't know about the whole Genosha thing. She was like, I wasn't down for that. I was just trying to help out, but I didn't know that was going to happen. And then when she saw that Magneto was all captured in freaking, look, I ain't trying to read too much into something, but I'm sorry. Magneto chained up like this with nothing on but just a little black something down there. I was like, look, X-Men 97. Who had fun drawing that? All right, someone enjoyed themselves drawing those frames of animation. They're like, you done with those drawings of Magneto yet? Nah, just a few more, please. Hold on. I gotta get it perfect. Magneto was right. Dr. Cooper couldn't see old sweaty naked Magneto up there for too long, so she let him free. And she even said it from that Genosha incident. She's like, that's when I knew Magneto was right. I was like, damn. And Magneto went right back to his old ways, boy. He flew up in the air and was like, oh, guess what, Earth? Your power cut off. You cut off. The Earth did not pay Magneto the power bill, and he cut them off completely. Everybody using candles. And then basically brought down his own freaking home. He got a giant asteroid island, freaking Bowser's castle looking thing, just up in the air, floating around. Like, what up? Like some straight up video game final boss level shit going on right now. I was like, dang, dude, do not mess with Magneto. He told him back in episode 2, he's like, don't mess with me. They did. He responded. He turned all the power off in the world. They basically got like 12 hours before everyone just dies. And of course, immediately humans start looting like you do. And also hunting down mutants like Jubilee and Roberto running away because people are like, you a mutant? Yeah, Roberto and Jubilee almost became victims of a mutant hate crime. But luckily, Daddy Forge and Mama Storm came up and was like, we got this. Mama Storm, baby. Ooh, Storm. Ooh, God dang. This new Storm is just doing something to me, man. I don't know what it is. I like the old Storm, but this black suit Storm, whoo, nod your head. Black suit Storm coming. Roberto even tried to go to his mama for some help, but he interrupted her function. She wasn't cool with that. She told them earlier she didn't want all his mutant stuff out in the public like that for the company brand, for the business. So she was like, put the collar on, you go with them. I don't know you. Move on. Mama! Happy Mother's Day. I mean, it's got so bad, Professor X had to come home. And of course, everybody was like, fool, Professor X, man, look, I have conflicted feelings about Professor X at this moment. Like, he talks a lot of game, but there's sometimes you're like, X, you're kind of full of shit sometimes. I especially love that conversation he had with Cyclops, where Cyclops was like, why didn't you not make me the benefactor when you went away? You gave it to Magneto instead. And Professor X was like, oh, you know, Cyclops, because I wanted you and Jean to live your life. I didn't want you to have this burden of doing this for me. I want you to be able to do whatever you need to do for yourselves. And Cyclops was like, seriously, dude, you know, every single time something happens, y'all gonna call me. I'm gonna always end up back here. So that's BSX. And I especially love at one point when Professor X was trying to talk to Magneto, and Magneto said, I've been waiting years to say this to you, Professor X. Put that metal over his mouth like he was freaking Gina Davis from Beetlejuice, and was just like, shut up. He was like, I've been waiting years to say these 2 words to you. He pulled an old school Smosh intro. Shut up! He was done with it, man. He was done with it. I love that Magneto also brought his entire island asteroid home down, basically his own planet, and just went to X-Men and was like, who coming with me? I got a home. Y'all got no power down here. I'm rolling up in Magneto land. Asteroid M, who coming with me? And Rogue, of course, was like, well, you know, sugar, I'm coming. I already was having a little thing with you before, and my other man dead, and they don't care, so I'm with you. And then even Roberto was like, hey, my mom abandoned me. I ain't got nothing. And Jubilee's like, you got me? And he's like, yeah, but you know. So this is crazy. By the time we get to the finale, the X-Men got to fight Magneto, Bastion, Mr. Sinister, and a bunch of random zombie-like mutants and no hybrids. Whew, that is some in-game level right there. Where is on your left when you need it? X-Men will look around like, hey, no portals? No. No Umbumbe? No? All right. All right. It's just us. Okay. I love when they all suited up, put on like I guess those are like comic accurate outfits, but those new outfits they put on, those are really cool. I especially love when they gave that outfit to Cable and he's like, I'm gonna go into a circus or whatever wearing this. And then I was like, what'd you expect? Black leather?
Am I going to war or a circus?
What'd you expect? Black leather?
Obviously a nod to the X-Men movies where they wore the whole black leather outfits, and they even made a joke in there of what'd you expect? Spandex, color spandex or whatever. So that was obviously a little tete-a-tete about that. Look, man, the 2000s, that's what they thought they had to do. Times have changed. We like color now. But yeah, the fighting in X-Men 97 in general have been awesome. But these last 3 episodes, man, there is so much fighting that's going on. It's all amazing. It's all awesome. And it's all brutal. I mean, we start seeing blood more. We start seeing body parts going all over the place. Like there's a part where Wolverine is jumping through and slashing at these hybrids. And it's crazy because they're obviously robot sentinel humans, which means that every time they get sliced up, they can just come back together. But at the same time, they still look like humans. So when you see Wolverine slice them up, it's like, ooh, that's somebody's daddy. That's somebody's mama. You know, because you see them turning on. So you know they're like real people. Especially like that one shot when it was like the family sitting together. And mom and dad was like, them kids was like, oh, shoot, we ain't on punishment, are we? You better have good grades. That thing looked like a zombie movie, man. Especially when they were jumping on the plane, when they were like flying in the air. That stuff was wild. I also love that we got a random Summers family road trip where like Scott and Jean and Cable were like in a car together. They had to like get in the car to save themselves. And the way that Jean and Scott were talking to Cable, it was like definitely parents talking to their son while they're getting attacked and fighting back. I thought all of that was really cool. So you got those fights going on, and then you got X-Men fighting Bastion, and Bastion is hard to take down. Then you got Mr. Sinister showing up. Not only do they have to fight Mr. Sinister, Jean especially trying to go up against him, but Mr. Sinister is all like, hey, remember when I took your baby? I can control him. So he just out of nowhere starts controlling Cable, having Cable fight against Jean. And then at one point, Bastion comes in, knocks down Cable, rips off Cable's arm, beats him with it. I was like, damn, that's one thing to take someone's arm off, but then to turn around and go slap with the arm, I was like, goodness gracious. Then use the arm to upgrade himself to have freaking wings and a metal suit and fly away. Oh my God, the stuff in this. Then you got Professor X trying to go in Magneto's mind. They try to get that helmet off of him so he can get in the mind meld thing going. And boy, this part when freaking Wolverine stabs Magneto and it's like, damn, he got you, Magneto. And Magneto just turned around to Wolverine and was like, fool, do you know what you are made of? He's like, this war is over. Just freaking, they're like, no, don't do it. Don't do it to Logan. And he was like, I've been holding back. I told y'all, don't mess with Magneto. And you just see that shot of just Wolverine's body is just like completely split apart because all the adamantium inside of him, which is basically metal. So that means that Magneto can do his thing. So he got him all ripped apart. I was like, dude, this is like some horror movie level stuff right here. How is Disney Plus allowing this? It's because Hulu's there. That's what it is. Now that Hulu is on Disney Plus, all bets are off. We got Family Guy and we got this. And you know everything is going to Extinction level event brutal in this last 3 set of episodes when the cameos come out of nowhere. Like they've been teasing a Marvel character here and there throughout the series, but these last few episodes, they were like, how many cameos do you want? Yes. They bring out Spider-Man in suit. They bring Spider-Man out of suit, Peter Parker with Mary Jane, and all the Spider-Man 90s people are like, how is that even possible? I thought Mary Jane was somewhere else. So now we need that series to complete that story. You got freaking Silver Samurai, Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther, Cloak and Dagger, Daredevil comes out of nowhere. And you know, Daredevil was like, I don't care the power's out. I'm good. I can still fight. There was like a hint to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, I believe. Doctor Strange shows up. You got all these random X-Men cameos and Mega Ran was up in there. There was like so many different characters popping up. And I was like, oh my gosh. This is my new MCU. This is my MCU. Expand this, please. I feel like I'm not even getting all of them. Tell me the ones you saw, because I'm sure that with as many as I noticed, there's probably still other ones I didn't even notice. And then if you didn't have cameos, you got Morph showing up being like, I got this. Let me turn into Juggernaut real quick. Let me turn into Mr. Fantastic real quick. Let me turn into the Incredible freaking Hulk do a morph smash. And I was like, oh my gosh, 90s Hulk, classic Hulk, angry, just beating stuff up Hulk. How I have missed you, my friend. It's good to have you back. Oh my gosh, even if you're doing it through morph, thank you. Look, no offense to Mark Ruffalo, and I believe his version of Hulk has had some good times, but it was just nice to see that brutal, I just like to break stuff Hulk yet again. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, X-Men 97. And Morph turned into Jean Grey to give Wolverine some support while he's on life support, to be like, I love you. I thought that was a very sweet moment. I just love all the sweet moments. Like, that was very sweet. The scene with Jean and Storm when they're talking to each other and having that sister bond. I love that they keep referring to each other as sisters. That kind of stuff is just so nice. It just constantly reminds you how there is a bond here, a family here with these characters, how they work well, not only with their different powers apart, but when they're working together. And that's what I love about the show in general. I think they did a really good job in showing how the mutants work when they're using their powers together, combined attacks, basically. Those power moves are really nice. I was like, well, we got to have that one. You got Jean Grey / Madeline throughout this thing. When are we going to get her? And sure enough, episode 10, they thought Jean Grey was dead, had Cable attacking her and everything, thought she was done. And then, as usual, a phoenix rises from the ashes. She freaking came up out that water. I am the Phoenix. And she grabbed Mr. Sinister and was like, let me get all that mutant DNA out of you. She freaking spaghetti slurped all the mutant DNA out of Mr. Sinister. That dude came back and then looked up and was old as hell. Old man Sinister, that old man Sinister. He was like, don't look at me. I'm hideous. Even Morph turned into him like, this is what you look like. Man, Mr. Sinister went from Gen Z to Gen X real quick. That is beyond boomer. That was old AF. Damn. But it never ends for these X-Men, dude. It never freaking ends for these X-Men. Now they got the president firing missiles at Asteroid M, even though everyone's like, you know, if you blow up a big giant island over the Earth, guess where all that stuff's gonna land, President? We pretty much declaring war on ourselves by doing this. And he's like, do it. X-Men protecting themselves. They try to do that usual thing. Bastion, come join us. Bastion, please call my name. And Bastion's like, nah, man, I'm pulling the Killmonger. Right into the explosion. Oh. He's like, if I can't have my future, I don't want no future. And while all of this is going on, freaking Charles up in Magneto's mind like, hey, Eric, look, dude, come on, man. Look, I know you mad, but we got to work together here, man. And Magneto's like, who am I? Where am I? What is this? He's like, dude, come on. We ain't got time for this. Look, you had a bad past. Your parents, you lost, but you got a future ahead of you and everyone loves you. And come on, man. We teams, we buddies. And I just love that. I just love the camaraderie that Charles and Magneto have, even though they don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, even though they have butted heads many a times, even though Magneto has lost his mind and went crazy with his powers. But it also reminds you that Xavier can do the same thing. He just chooses a lot of times not to. But his mind powers are just as strong as Magneto's metal powers. And when he has to, X is gonna give it to you. But eventually Charles gets in sync with Magneto. Magneto's like, oh yeah, I know who I am. I'm Magneto. Comes back over 9,000. Holds that island up. All the X-Men do all their stuff together. They even got that dramatic version of the theme song going. Ha, 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 ha. They use all their powers, put that thing back up in the air, explosion, everyone's safe on Earth. The X-Men saved you once again, and you're probably still gonna hate them, you filthy humans. I hope mutants or apes take you out. And in doing all this, apparently that causes time travel. So we have... And this was a little weird for me. I will say I was a little like, wait, what? But I knew that this was setting up what was going to happen with next season, so I was down with it. We basically have Jean and Cyclops in the future, and we see a young Nathan pre-Cable, so that'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with that. And the other X-Men are in the past, like way in the past, like there's pyramids and everything. And then they see this dude fighting, and they're like, hey, who are you? And he takes off his little mask.
My name is N. Sabanur.
I was like, nah, man. I know them lips. I know them blue lips. I know them apocalypse. Oh, yeah, man. We get to see the early stages of who is going to become Apocalypse in the future. And that's where the X-Men are right now. So to be continued. And then, of course, in Marvel fashion, got to have that after credit scene. So we go back to present day Genosha and we see Apocalypse. And he's all in the ground where Gambit died. And he pulls up one of Gambit's cards. Damn. So Gambit's going to come back, but we probably not going to want him to. Gambit is definitely returning, but he's going to be returning under the power of Apocalypse. I think we have a new horseman in our midst. So that will be interesting. Season 2, I don't know when season 2 is supposed to come out. I hope it's already done. I know it's already been written, so I'm hoping it's already been animated and we're going to get this thing soon. But oh my gosh, I need more. I need more. I'm still watching the old series, so that'll tide me over. But I need more of this 97. It's just so good. So freaking good. I had so much fun with this. I enjoyed this. I'm glad to hear that so many other people are enjoying this. This is the energy that I love when it comes to talking about superheroes, Marvel, everything. I've not been this Marvel hater. You know, I understand that some things are better than other things. Even Feige says it nowadays. But still, man, Marvel has still been an entertaining thing for me in general, even when I have my nitpicks and criticism here and there. But this, man, this was just a good feeling. This just felt so nice. And I really, really enjoyed it. My only problem is usually when you have the opportunity to watch something with, especially with Marvel, that feels so good, you feel like you're going to probably end up watching something soon after it that's not going to be good. But I cannot imagine anything that I would need to still see in association with Marvel that could possibly be bad. Thanks so much, man. I really do appreciate this. I know that this has been random. I don't know what my future is with talking about these types of shows, but I knew though it was fun to have these conversations when I was able to have them. So I appreciate any of you who took the time to listen and watch and geek out with me. Thank you. As always, I love you like a play cousin on 95,000.